Hey guys, it's your girl Sal here on the Vikings First and SKOL'd Network. Tonight is a very special edition of Skoldiers and Spice because it is our sweetest victory Tuesday yet. Our Minnesota Vikings are back to putting teams away. They dominated the Falcons 42-21. Sam Darnold had the best game of his career. He threw a jaw-dropping 5 touchdowns, something Kirk Cousins has never done. Since I have sat down to prepare for the show tonight, I'm realizing that this situation is a little more layered for me than I even realized. So this might turn into a little bit of a therapy session, just forewarning. But thankfully, Sean, aka SK, is here to help me work through all of this. So let's get into it.
Hey man, how the hell you doing? I've been just fine living life with the news and
SK, hi.
What's up? I like the intro music. I'm feeling that.
I know, it's catchy, right? How are you feeling on this Victory Tuesday?
I mean, is there any other way to feel? We're 11-2, Sal. We just took care
I
of
know,
Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, put a whooping on them. Like, we did the white
I
chicks
know,
dance in the end zone. Like, what is
I
there not to
know.
feel good about?
Absolutely nothing. This is the happiest I think I've been in almost as long as I can remember. Gosh, when did I last talk to you? It was after the home opener. So was that week
I
two
think it was the
or
following week.
week
Yeah.
three? Week three. And obviously we
Mhm.
were riding high then, but I know that I never could have envisioned 11-2 at this point in the season and Sam Darnold having a 5 touchdown day.
Yeah. I mean, not just this game. He's what, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the past 4 games. Like, he's legitimately entered the MVP conversation. Now, there's other guys that are probably a little bit more deserving, and respect to that, but he's an MVP top 5 candidate in my opinion.
Yeah, he's finally getting some credit even nationally, which is surprising because this whole time he hasn't. And it seems like, the national pundits who like half pay attention to what's going on have still said, they don't trust him and things like that. But I was really surprised on the broadcast last night, the Monday Night Football broadcast, because I'm sure you watched the game, but did you see like towards the end, Burrow had a missed face mask call?
Yeah.
SVP said on the after show that he said this has happened to Sam Darnold twice, and now it's happened to Joe. And I was just like, wow, someone who actually is calling out the unfairness of how he has been treated here and there. But yeah, I just what a great story.
I mean, who
Insane.
who who doesn't love a good comeback story? He was the running joke of the entire NFL fan base of Sam Darnold. I'm seeing ghosts. Who wants Sam Darnold? And here we are, 11-2, entered the MVP conversation. I mean, just playing out of his mind. Like, this last game was ridiculous. The way he's moving in the pocket, like throwing on the run, it was just ridiculous, man. And I'm at the point, to be honest with you, I'm always the devil's advocate to where it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Like, we are the Vikings. This is Sam Darnold. Like, I get that. And I was there for a long time. But I think this week is getting me over that hump to be like, hey, look, we're 11-2. The division's still in play. Hell, the number 1 seed's still in play. So have fun with it, man. Enjoy this, because we can even go back to 2017. Yes, that was special. We had great players. But Sam
Mhm.
Darnold's playing better than what we are seeing from Case Keenum. You gotta feel good about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm normally one of those to pump the brakes. Also, back in the 2022 season where, yeah, they finished 13-3, but that was always still in my mind. Pump the brakes. The luck's got to run out here sooner or later. And even Dustin Baker, he and I talked last week, and he's the same. He's like, I just feel completely different about this team than I've ever felt about any of these other teams of recent history that were waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think it's because they just seem like they're so balanced. Would you
Yeah,
agree
and
with
it's
that?
oh, absolutely. I mean, defense didn't look the greatest 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago
Yeah,
against the Falcons. But when your offense is clicking like that, it's okay to give up 21 points. Like we put up
right,
42. There's nobody
right.
stopping our receivers. Like this is what we envisioned from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. When we drafted Jordan Addison, we said we could have the best duo in the league with these two, and they showed it yesterday. And then I mean, it starts at the top, the coaching. I was a Zimmer fan, don't get me wrong, up until the end, and I understood the firing and everything, but I've
Mhm.
never felt this comfortable, and that's even going back to 2017. I've never felt this comfortable with a team because of the leadership. Like we got the best
Yeah.
coaching staff in the league, top to bottom. Like so you got to be confident in the guys, and they show it. You can tell they're all on the same page. There's not one guy out there looking for a specific personal stat or anything. They all have their eyes on the prize, and the first thing is to win the division, hopefully. And if you win the division, chances are you're getting the number one seed.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's say hey to the chat really quick. We've got Julian here, Maddie's here, hey King, Chevy Chase, Joey Netland, Rick, Gary. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you
Papa
doing, Gary?
Gary, my guy.
Yeah, let's see. We've got Michael Strickler. Hey. Oh, Rap is here. Vocal Vike, what's
Rap,
up?
my boy.
Um, Steven says, random weird fact, we haven't lost a game since Jamie from Good Morning Football blew the why can't I say that? Gallahorn against the Colts. And that is a great point. We love
Yeah.
we love to see her give her flowers. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Chris Thompson is here. Hi, Chris Thompson came to the tailgate after the game, and it was super nice to meet him. I'm so glad that you came by, Chris. Hopefully, you had fun. Let's see. Okay, Two Toned. Hey, what's up? Okay, Edmund is
Yo,
here. Edmund, we were just talking about you, and
Edmund.
Christina's here. Hi, Christina. All right. Yeah, but let's get back to it. It was just a phenomenal game. It was a great day for me personally and as a Vikings fan. I can't remember I mean, this was the best day I've had in so long. From the moment I woke up, it was just like the stars had just aligned overnight or something. I wasn't really looking forward to the game, not because I mean, this was a game I was looking forward to all season, but as far as going to the game, I just was feeling drained. I didn't really feel like going, didn't feel like dealing with the tailgate. I was just not in the mood. And I woke up Sunday morning. I had actually slept, which is rare for me because I usually have a lot of anxiety going into, the home game. I slept maybe like 4 or 5 hours. Everything ran so smoothly that morning. I even went and had breakfast before, which is the
What?
first time ever.
Wow.
The setup was smooth. I was relaxed. I wasn't my crazy frenzied self. Got to see some people that I hadn't seen in a long time. It was just a perfect morning. And then we're going into the game and we find out that our seats get upgraded. So we're in the Mystic Lake on the couches. Don't know.
Ooh, dang.
Crazy, crazy.
We're in
And
the
I
VIP section of the club.
don't eat. It was my fucking lucky day, I guess. I have been in Mystic Lake before, and it's awesome. It's my favorite club, but on the couches, I've never been over there. You have all this room to just like jump around and celebrate and everything. It was just like the best I could ever have even asked for. And obviously, I'm so blessed. I get so many great opportunities to go to games and all of that, and I hope I don't take that for granted. But this was just it was just insane. So it was just a great day for me to
Where
start
where
playing.
are those couches located? Like, what section? I think I've seen them before, but
Um,
I'm trying to remember.
they're like 201 to like 203. It's right
Okay.
to the left of the Gallahorn. Or
Oh,
right,
okay,
right,
okay.
right to the
Yeah.
right of the Gallahorn, excuse me.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
So
about now.
yeah, it
Yeah, the
was just
perfect
crazy because
setup.
there's all this space. So it was a magical day for sure. But then this game, it meant more than any other week 14 non-divisional game probably ever. But I didn't realize like how much how much it actually meant until it was over. How were you feeling going into it?
I mean, leading up the entire week, obviously we have the confidence going in because we have been such a good team this season. So I was confident, but I was also like, oh man, like I kind of know Kirk. He might get up for this game a little bit. He might like there might be a point in time where he's torching us. Not saying they're gonna blow us out or anything like that, but I'm like, dang, Kirk might come out here and do something. But
Mhm.
once he got closer to the game, I woke up that morning. I was like, all right, it's time to whoop some ass. Like, let's go to work. Like I was in game mode. So um, there wasn't too much nerves going into it. I was just ready to finally be able to be on the other side of Kirk Cousins and being able to enjoy our defenders, like being able to hit Kirk Cousins. Like I know he's a lovable guy. He's probably a great person in real life, like outside of the football field, blah blah blah. But that's all we hear. Like, but I'm sure there was dudes on that defense where it's like I just want to like smack his corny ass one time during the game. Like,
Mhm.
so I was enjoying being on the other side of things from Kirk Cousins. And we got the vintage, or I guess you can say the national media kind of opinion on Kirk Cousins while he was here. We got that when we played against him. So it feels good. Like you're looking back at your ex and you're like, I made the right decision.
Yes, yes, exactly. I was also looking forward to having that behind, and it was yes, you want to play well for sure. And just for the talking points, I mean, just like you said, put it to bed. No more of this. Did they make the right decision? Did they not? But with Kirk Cousins, as we all know, he can have some clunkers and then he can come out and surprise you and play well. I didn't think that that was going to happen, but of course I knew it was possible. I I was oddly like emotional at the end of the game, and I don't think I've cried after a Vikings game since like Minneapolis Miracle. I for sure
Mm,
did. But I like was tearing up and I didn't expect that. And I think what is I've realized, well, first of all, it was just the feeling of vindication for me as somebody who hasn't wanted him to be the quarterback of this team since the beginning. And those 6 years of just getting shit on social media for not being all about him. And especially the first three when people were still not willing to have the conversation.
mhm.
And it wasn't even just on social media. I mean, it was with my own friend group. I was very isolated. I was the only person who wasn't a fan of his. I was talking about this with Rap last week. And so I got to the point where I was just like, I'm just not going to talk about this anymore. I'm just
Yeah.
going to keep my mouth shut and not talk about it. And then, obviously I had the season 2022 where I had fun with it. But it
Yeah.
was a very isolating time for me. And thinking about it earlier today, I was numb for almost all of that time. You come off of
Yeah.
2017 and the high that was, and then the shitty season that was 2018. And I think since then, I've just pretty much been numb and not really been able to emotionally connect to this team like I have been my entire life. Of course, I still love the team. Of course, I still go, I show up, but it really wasn't fun for me like it used to be. And so I think Sunday, it kind of just came full circle and it was just like, thank fucking God this is over.
Yeah, no, and we can look at it this way. The Kirk era, that was like our rebound. When you look at a relationship or a situationship or whatever, that was Kirk was our rebound. Like, and it was needed.
That
We
I
know
didn't ask for.
we had time to recover. That Minneapolis Miracle, it takes a long time to recover, and we forever held that against Kirk. And I'm not saying Kirk's not at fault for things or anything, but coming off a loss like that, the Minneapolis Miracle, and then the loss in Philadelphia, and you expecting to just kind of be right back in the mix for a Super Bowl, that is a lot to burden. But you got paid that amount of money, you got to be able to burden that. So I was always kind of in the middle with the whole Kirk Cousins thing. There's times where I'm like, oh God, this is bad Kirk today. But then
Mhm.
at the same time, he gave us some really fun moments as a quarterback. The greatest comeback in NFL history against the Colts. He had another great comeback against the Denver Broncos at home. the playoff win in New Orleans. Like there's some moments there where you're like, okay, like he gave us a few really good moments, but he came with a lot of baggage. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a little too much. And whether it be his fan base or the people that were anti Kirk, like it was just a little too much. Like it got too much outside of football. And it's like, come on, let's enjoy this team, love this, this Viking team. And like you said, like it's starting to get back to where it's more of I love this team. Like we had the I
Mhm.
love this team feeling back in 2016, beginning of 2017, to where we're saying, "Hey, we have the best defense in the entire league." I love Harrison Smith, which we all still do. I love Anthony Barr. I love Eric Kendricks, Everson Griffin, Brian Robinson. Like we love all these guys. We didn't want to let them go. Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes. You got all those guys that you love so much and that you connected with and you kind of grew with as a fan. You saw them grow as a player. You grew as a fan during that time. So you love this team. And once that 2017 playoffs hit or 2018 playoffs hit, and we ended up going with Kirk Cousins, that was kind of taken away from us. And that's not necessarily
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins' fault, but that's kind of what I
No.
took from the whole situation. And Kirk was pretty much our rebound, which was needed. So thank you, Kirk. You gave us some good memories. We had fun sometimes, but at the end of the day, neither one of us were going to get a ring together. So now I'm going to
No.
move on to the next one. Now we're happy. We're in love.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell, like
Yes.
not, we're great now. We found the love of our life. We're settling down. We got the young kid that we just had in JJ McCarthy that we got to raise up to become a man in the NFL. So that's how I look at it, if you want to break it down like that.
Yeah, I don't think that it's his fault. It's Rick Spielman's fault. He's not at fault for taking a contract. Absolutely, he should have
Yeah.
absolutely done that. It's not his fault, and then I don't also believe it's Kwesi's fault because I mean, if the rumors are true that the Wilfs wanted him to stick around, they didn't want to do a rebuild at that time. It's not his fault either. He's brand new to the organization. But I
Yeah.
would argue that these memories that you just mentioned, while they were cool, like that's what he should have been doing. That
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
the expectations that were on him that he wasn't meeting. He should have been having comeback games and winning those because there's so many that he didn't come back and win that he could have won, like last year Kansas City, last year the Chargers, two games that he didn't step up and win last year.
Yeah.
In the past, the game in Kansas City against Matt Moore, I recently talked about the tie game in Green Bay. Like, don't worry about the kicker. Like, fucking score a touchdown. There's so many
Mhm.
times that he didn't do that it's just like I don't know. I'm just so happy it was over. I can't express the amount of relief that I have. I even went and like looked at these old TikToks that I had about Kirk Cousins, and I mean, I have like 600 to 700 comments on these videos of people just telling me that I'm a fucking idiot, that I don't know what I'm talking about, all this shit, and it's just like, you know, yeah. Anyway, it's over.
Too
It's
much. It's just
finally
too much.
over. It's
I'm glad it's over too. We put it into it unless something happens where we face Kirk in the playoffs, which I don't think that's gonna happen. This whole
Mhm.
breakup and this whole Kirk Cousins Vikings thing, it's over. We can put it into it.
Yes. Thank God. All right, let's say what's up to the chat. Again, Gary said, Sister Spice, my fave non-bearded commentator, but far. Serious Spice, I'm impressed. Respect, sis. All right, well, is this serious? Am I not normally this serious? Okay, Johnny, hi, hello. I'm sorry I didn't get to say hi to you on Sunday. He said there's no crying in football. Well, there is for me. I mean, remember Stephon Diggs bawling in the end zone after he won? Like,
Yeah.
yes, there is. It's okay to cry. Cody says Kirk needs things to be perfect in order to succeed. He had some perfect moments when it comes to off script. He's god awful. Completely agree, and I think we all saw how much he struggled to move around in the pocket on Sunday. I don't know if that Achilles is still bothering him, but night and day difference in Sam Darnold's mobility and what Kirk Cousins was able to do.
Ridiculous. I mean, we always
Yeah.
knew Kirk was kind of a statue, but he got
Yeah.
old quick, especially with an injury like that. He got old quick. His style of play, I thought, would be able to last a little longer. But what is he, like 37 now, something like that? So
I think he's 36, and I want to say his birthday's in the summer. I think he's like a
Yeah.
Cancer or something, which also explains a lot.
Here we go with the
Oh,
signs over here with I think it's a
yeah,
cancer.
I think I should probably double check that. I might have to let you take over so I can confirm. But let's see. Okay, I'm Jacob. Hi, Bulldog LLC, and I will check back on this in a second. But thank you guys so much, everybody, for being in here. We've got 56 live viewers.
Yeah.
Super chat from Skol Mafia. Thank you so much, King. We really appreciate you. All right.
Jihad Johnny. They call me
Yeah,
Jihad Johnny. I don't
I
know.
know. I think you told that story, but I forgot what it is. Why did they call you that?
It's the beard. That's they
Oh,
just
it's
I
it's
think it
just the
was
beard.
Gary that called it in one of our shows. He said, it looks like your name would be Jihad Johnny." And I'm like, "All right, I guess I'm going with Jihad Johnny now."
Well, hey, it works. But
Whatever works.
yeah, whatever works. But okay, we kind of touched on the defense from Sunday a little bit. Gave up a ton of yards, but like you said, held them to 21 points. They had the 2 picks, which were marvelous. Byron Murphy Jr. with his 6th pick of the season, which I think going into this, he only had 7 in his career. So
Yeah.
phenomenal season from him. Who stands out to you from their performance this past game that really made a difference? I know they also had Gabriel Murphy was in 28
On the
snaps.
defensive side, right?
Yeah,
Outside
on
of
the
what we've
defense.
seen.
Yes.
um, I would say one of the guys that should have had a pick, and it should have been ruled a pick, Shaq Griffin. Shaq Griffin is having a
Mhm.
career year this year. And it's better that we're not hearing his name so much. Yes, he's given up a touchdown here and there. It happens when you play, unless you're some ridiculous elite lockdown corner, you know, you're going to give up some touchdowns here and there. But Shaq Griffin came in as we're looking at, okay, he could possibly be starter, but he's just kind of he's holding somebody else's place, whether it be Mekhi Blackman or at the time, rest in peace, Kyrie Jackson, whoever it was. But he's come in and he's played like a cornerback one, in my opinion. I mean, him and Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore's at the end of his career. He's injured right now, but he's played great on the opposite side of Gilmore. And then now, who are we playing outside? Was it Moreau? Was it
Yeah.
Fabian Moreau? I think, which
Yes.
I got to give a shout out to him too. We didn't hear his name. We didn't hear his name
No.
in that game, and that's a good thing as a defensive back. So Shaq Griffin would kind of be my guy, and that's maybe the unpopular pick. You could obviously go with Cam Bynum, Metellus, and Blake Cashman. Obviously, there's a lot of people you can pick.
Mhm.
And I see people in the chat saying Jalen Redmond too. Jalen Redmond,
Yeah.
we might have something with Jalen Redmond.
Yeah, it was great to see him and just such a typical pickup for Flores. This is just the guys that he's able to find that other people seem to discard or they don't notice, they don't get drafted. And he just has this eye for going to pick them up. And I think Kwesi deserves a lot of credit for taking those recommendations from him and getting it done.
Yeah, no, it's what they said when they came in the first press conference. I remember KLC sat down, Kwesi sat down, and they said, "This is going to be a collaborative effort. This is going to be a team effort. This isn't going to be Kwesi. I'm the GM. I'm making the ultimate decision, and that's what it is. It wasn't going to be KC or KLC saying, I don't want this guy in the draft. I'm going to get this guy. It wasn't going to be that. This is going to be a collaborative effort, and that's exactly what it's been. Everybody is on the same page. This is exactly what Kwesi and KLC envisioned the first day they got hired, and they're putting it to work. And to be honest, it's a year or two early. None of us were expecting this. Like,
Right.
yes, we are expecting maybe it could be a fun season. Sam Darnold can sling it at times, but at the end of the day, we were going to be a 500 football team, maybe sneak into the playoffs. That was the realistic expectation for this team. And what they've
Mhm.
put together, you got to give those guys credit. Kwesi and KLC are absolutely killing it. And those should be the two guys that should get executive of the year and that should get coach of the year, in my opinion. And that's not necessarily me being biased. I think they've done a great job. Kwesi in the draft, not so much. That's kind of his weak point. But at the same
Mhm.
time, if this past draft pans out, if JJ McCarthy becomes a guy, which I think he will be, and Dallas Turner turns into a guy, which that looks like it's a little bit more of a slow process, then hey, this draft talk, we can throw it out the window. But overall, man, just leadership, coaching has been absolutely amazing for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes, and it couldn't be more of a contrast from the regime previous to that, where people weren't even necessarily speaking, let alone collaborating on who they're going to pick up as free agents or draft picks. Or, it was always, yeah, Mike Zimmer had defensive coordinators, but it was always common knowledge that they weren't actually doing much. They were just kind
Mhm.
of that in title alone. And then, Mike Zimmer wants nothing to do with the offense or unless he's criticizing it, but that's, all on someone else as well. There was no collaboration going on in that building at all, especially towards the end. So it's so nice to see the contrast. And I know, so many of the fans when KOC first came in and there was all the, the collaboration, culture, all of these words that, maybe the generation older than us hates to hear and thinks that makes, the organization soft and stuff like that. And it's like, well, look at how it's actually working out when you do speak to each other in the hallway and say hello.
Exactly, right? How's your morning going? It's simple as that. But no, KOC and obviously, like I said, Kwesi and the rest of this coach, Brian Flores, you got to give a lot of credit to Keenan McCardell with those wide receivers. Obviously, Josh McCown with the quarterbacks. Like they're at the top of their position. But the biggest thing for me is that you have created a culture. And if anything is going to make you a better franchise overall outside of your players, yes, we got great players in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and I can go on with the talent that we have on this team. What lasts through that, because players aren't going to be here forever, what lasts through that is culture, and that's exactly what KOC has been building. And it's happened a lot quicker than what we all expected. So you got to be confident as a Vikings fan, not only this year, but going into the future too. You got your future franchise quarterback. You have your culture with KOC and Kwesi. You have hopefully Brian Flores, which I think he'll get some head coaching interviews this offseason. But that legal stuff with the NFL, that's going to keep teams away from him. A lot of teams don't
Mhm.
want to go a defensive minded head coach. So chances are Brian Flores may be here for a while. So you have all the pieces in place to be a contending team year in and year out. And you can look right over at San Francisco. I understand they're having a bad year and they may not make the playoffs this year, but they built a culture over there. John Lynch as the GM, Kyle Shanahan as the coach, the offensive minded guy. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback from them. They're going to perform well. They've built a culture over there, and it shows year in and year out, maybe outside of this season, they have been in the mix for a Super Bowl, and they've actually made a couple Super Bowls and just came short against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're building a culture. You got to feel good about the future.
I couldn't agree with you more. It seems, I mean, look, we don't know what is going to happen here in the playoffs. It seems all about a foregone conclusion that they are going to make the playoffs. I saw people in the chat asking for Dolly. Let me tell you, that's not why she's here. Did not have a scheduled appearance. She was just, if you see, she was just having a peanut butter filled Kong. As you can tell, she's not gonna be able to kill it. And she got upset about something. So here she is. You guys got your wish. But okay. Oh, also two things also that I don't want to forget to mention on why Sunday was such a great day. We had corgi races at halftime, which is my absolute favorite halftime show. The corgi races. You can't get enough
Did
of them.
PA call the race too?
PA did call the race.
That's great.
And I've heard PA do, horse racing before and stuff like that, but this was just it was magical. It was such a great day. But then we also had Mike Tice on the field doing some interviews, and he gave a shout out to Randy Moss and so that was magical as well. It was a perfect day.
Yeah, shout out Randy
But
too. My thoughts and prayers with
yes,
Randy Moss, man, and his family. I hope he gets the health needs he gets or need help he needs with his health. So yeah, man, we can't lose Randy. Can't lose Randy.
no, yeah, we are all thinking about Randy, for sure. But okay, we've kind of started talking about the future here a little bit. You've brought up JJ a couple times. It's been a huge talking point, pretty much this entire season of what's going to happen with Sam Darnold after this season. And I've pretty much been of the camp that I don't really want to give much attention to it because I didn't think it was going to happen. Don't think that it's on the table. Sam's going to get offered some money. It doesn't make any sense for him to stay here. He's not going to do it, and it didn't make sense for either side's plan. However, after this game on Sunday, I'm kind of starting to maybe to walk some of that back because and it's going to have a lot to do with how does the season end, how do the playoffs go. But if he continues to play like this, I do think that it is a real conversation, and I got to stop avoiding it. When we were leaving the stadium, some guys and us started talking. This guy said that they need to trade JJ McCarthy and get a number one first round pick for him. How likely do you think a scenario like that is? And would you even want to see a scenario like that?
Okay, so before I start on my, it may not be a rant, but my, opinion. I may be a little biased because I'm in Michigan and I'm a huge JJ McCarthy fan. So I've been speaking just like a few other people, I've been speaking this into existence for a couple years now. JJ McCarthy to the Vikings. So I'm a little bit biased here, but you got to stick to the original plan. And that plan was bringing in Darnold for a year, regardless of how good his play was. And I think KOC felt that he was going to play good. If he was a starter, Sam Darnold was going to play good. So I don't think it's kind of out of the realm that we, didn't think that Darnold was going to have a good year. But you got to think of it as sticking to the plan. You drafted your quarterback of the future. The only reason why you do go out there and you re-sign Sam Darnold is if he goes out there and wins you a Super Bowl. If he does that, nobody can be mad at giving Sam Darnold money. I don't care what happens after that. He won your franchise a Super Bowl. You build the statue. You give him however much money he wants. But you also got to think, when you pay a guy, he's playing on a $10 million contract, and it's not all guaranteed. I think $6.5 million is guaranteed, but with the way he's playing, he's going to get the full 10. Once you sign him to, which I think he's going to demand upwards of $40 million. Once you pay a quarterback that, you immediately put him into a category that you had Kirk Cousins in. You're expected to win every Sunday. Every year has to look like this year. There can't be a down year. Or the first thing we're going to say is, well, Sam Darnold, we shouldn't have paid him all that money. We should have kept Jordan Addison, and we should have kept, this defense intact. Because once you pay Sam Darnold, you're not going to be able to pay these guys that are on 1 and 2 year deals on your defense. Van Ginkel. I think Cashman might be locked up for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. But, Van Ginkel, Cashman, Grenard is already signed for 5 years, I believe. But then you have the back end of your defense of, okay, Gilmore's probably not going to be back. But what about Shaq Griffin? He's been playing great this year. He's going to need a little money. Cam Bynum, his contract is coming up. You're going to have to pay Cam Bynum, especially with Harrison Smith leaving soon. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes with it besides just, hey, let's just re-sign Sam Darnold and run this back. There is no running this back if you sign Sam Darnold. You're not going to have the same team that you had this year if you sign Sam Darnold. And I think it's just kind of in good, health between players and coaches and franchises to say, you know what, Sam, we had an agreement at the beginning of this year. 1 year deal. You were going to do your thing. You were more than likely going to be the starter week 1. You were going to do your thing. And then if you performed, you were going to go make yourself some money somewhere else. And that's going to continue to be the plan. Now, what would change for me is now you're in a position to where, hey, yeah, we're going to let you kind of go and get paid somewhere else, but we want something in return. So at this point, you got to franchise tag them. Even now, even if we don't win a game in the playoffs or we don't make it to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship, you got to get something back for Sam Darnold now. You franchise tag him, and I guarantee you somebody's going to give up some picks for Sam Darnold. I don't care if it's a 3rd, 4th round pick. You got to get something back in return because we're going to need the picks next year. But you got your quarterback of the future in JJ McCarthy. I'm extremely confident, not just in JJ, but in KOC. If you feel
Mhm.
bad about letting Sam Darnold walk and us building JJ McCarthy up from being a 22-year-old young man to being a legitimate franchise quarterback in the NFL, you don't believe in KOC. You got to believe in KOC in this system. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I know that this is a great problem to have, but I mean, when has this team ever been in the position that we're even having conversations like this?
Yeah.
Never, as far as I can remember. Same thing with what we were just dealing with the kicker situation. Have never been in
Mhm.
that situation before. So
Life
it's a
is
good
different.
problem to have. Like I said, I was in the camp of this is absolutely no chance in this happening. It doesn't make sense for either side. Starting a little bit maybe to open my mind to it. I think it has so much to do with what the open market is going to pay, because you're right. If they do go and pay tremendous amount of money to Sam or anyone else, they're right back in the same situation they were with Kirk Cousins. So
Yep.
the reason you draft a young quarterback and you go through this process is so you can not have that quarterback money on the books for the first 4 years. So
Yeah.
I don't think it makes, it depends a lot, I think, on what the market's going to demand. Is he going to be worthy of is the market going to say, hey, Baker Mayfield type contract for Sam Darnold? Or are they going to say, oh, he's the most desired free agent quarterback out there. He's going to be in that top 5 paid conversation. Then it's like, absolutely not. I did see
Yep.
somebody say that they don't think you could get a first round for JJ McCarthy, and I don't think I agree with that, just because of his age, and that he very well could have came out in this upcoming draft class and been a
Mhm.
top pick as well. So I think, and look, we've seen teams make way riskier moves at quarterback than taking a JJ McCarthy in the first,
Yes.
than swapping a first round pick for. I mean, look, we got teams trading up for Mitch Trubisky, for Christ's sake. Like
Yeah.
it we see bad quarterback decisions in the draft all the time. Now I'm going to
Yeah.
stick with it. I do think it's unlikely, but I had not considered the franchise tag option as far as for trade value. So do you know off the top of your head? So then does the Vikings still have to pay a portion of that salary, or
No,
are they
so
just off the hook
when you
completely?
franchise tag a player, you have to pay them, I think, like a top 10 average at their position. So I may be
Oh,
wrong on
I
the
thought it was top
specific
three.
context on that, but you have to pay them an average of, I think, the top 10 paid at their position. And the top 10 paid at their position, at the quarterback position right now, I think is averaging around $40 million per year. So you're going to have to pay Sam Darnold $40 million if you franchise tag him, unless you trade him. Once you trade him, somebody has to sign him to a longer term deal. They can't just sign him to a 1 year deal. They have to give him that Baker Mayfield 3 year, $100 million deal type setup. So there would be a lot more than just tagging and trading him. I think that you do, good business and you come to Sam and say, look, we're not just going to trade you to anybody. Let us know who you prefer, but we got to get something back from you, dog. Like
Yeah.
just like you owed it to us for giving you a chance to be a starter in this league, you should kind of
Mhm.
pay us the favor back of being like, okay, well, if it wasn't for KOC and the Minnesota Vikings, I wouldn't even be in this position. So yes, don't send me
Right.
to a
Yeah.
shitty team, but at the same time, like, work with me. Like, if I'd rather go to, who I mean, what teams need a quarterback? I'd rather go to Tennessee than the New York Giants. Don't send me to the Giants. Send
Yeah.
me to Tennessee, even if you're getting, a second round pick instead of a first round pick. So I think they would do him good justice in that, just because I think Quasey and this front office, they're into doing good business like that, and just the way KLC
Mhm.
talks to opposing quarterbacks, I think it's just like a good justice. Um, but yeah, I think you would have to, if you don't trade him, you'd have to pay him $40 million next year, give or take.
Yeah. Okay, so I just double checked on it. It says it's the average of the top 5 salaries at the
Top
position,
5.
or 120% of the player's previous salary, whichever is higher. so I
Which that
can't
would
do
be
math.
$15 million, something like that.
Yeah, I believe so. And Dave, I saw say that it was 40. It's 42 million for 2025.
42.
Um, Too Evil, hi, thank you for the super chat earlier. We really appreciate it. And I saw who said something. Okay, Jacob said never had this problem before. I got you people were young. Remember Brad Johnson and Culpepper? They wanted to keep both. At least Denny Green did. Yes, I do remember that, but I'm more so meaning they have this rookie quarterback of the future situation, whereas
Mhm.
those two were not in that position. You know, they were significantly older. But yeah, you're right. It was a good problem to have, you know, at that time as well. So I guess I did leave that one out. But and then somebody else mentioned, aren't the Vikings still paying Kirk Cousins right now? I believe they're paying him about 25 million in dead
Yeah.
money.
No more after this
So
year, though. I think it's done after this year.
yes, it is done after this. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun thing to talk about. I agree with, I mean, I would probably feel sad for Sam just as a human being if he did get franchise tagged, only because this is his chance on the open market to, you know, secure his future. And I know that sounds crazy to say about somebody who's made millions of dollars, but wasn't
Yeah.
in, this is his first time in this position. So I would love to see him be able to go out and get a long-term deal of at least a few years, because you know, he could get hurt on that franchise tag year, and then that could be the end of it. So I hope for him, just as a person, that doesn't happen to him. But you know, if it ends up benefiting the Vikings, of course, I'm not gonna complain about it. I do also hope that he gets to go to a team that is the opposite of the two previous that he started with,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have to. He can be in a situation where a coach really knows how to work with him and play to his strengths. And
Mhm.
you know, for example, I keep going back to, if Matt Stafford were to retire, I think that would be a great place for him. And yeah, but like I said, it's kind of fun to talk about. It's just I see people
I
already
think he goes to
arguing
San
about it.
Francisco.
Yeah, and that could be great also, because they're Brock Purdy obviously not having a great season. I saw Debo
Contract
was,
year.
yeah, and Debo was saying, you know, complaining that he's not getting the ball on Twitter, and you know,
The community notes corrected him. Did you see that one?
the community note was beautiful. Oh my god, like just crazy. I can't believe he didn't delete it.
Yeah, man. That had me. That got me. The community notes for the
Yeah,
win.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It just kind of feels like the cloud is lifting. Like normally I would say whichever decision they make, it's going to be the wrong one, because that's just how it goes. But I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
because we have a good foundation. We have a great foundation
Yeah.
and a great culture, and I think we're gonna make the right decision. Fingers crossed.
Yes. Yes. I could not agree with you more, which is crazy for someone who's been known for being pessimistic for the last 15 years or so. But
You and me
all right.
both.
Let's move on. Let's look a little bit more at big picture stuff. We've got the playoffs is on the horizon here, which it's just flying by. As you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, they are still in the conversation for the division. And you know, the NFC North, again, I don't think anybody pictured it looking like this. They've only lost to each other, I believe, since October. So that's,
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever seen something like that in history for one division. But how do you see this playing out? I know the Lions have the Bills, which is going to be a big challenge that could knock them down a peg. I think the
Yeah.
Packers schedule was pretty
They
easy, if
got the
I'm not.
Seahawks. I got the Seahawks this week, Sunday
Yeah.
night.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
Yeah, we both have the Seahawks then.
and then the Eagles have the Steelers this week. So this week's a huge week, just in not just for us, but the entire NFC playoffs, because
That's why
you can
I'm
find
glad they play
yourself.
Monday so we can
Yeah,
watch.
we'll know obviously by Monday what the situation is. And if the Lions are able to fall to the Bills, which it's not definitely not out of the realm, I think the Bills coming off a loss are going to be angry and they're going to be ready to play. So, in my opinion, I'm
Yep.
picking the Bills in that game, and that's not me being a hater against the Lions. I just see the way things are setting up. These Bills are going to come in mad and angry, and they're going to put it on these Lions.
Yep, I agree.
So if the Lions are able to the Bills are able to beat the Lions. I mean, the Seahawks and the Packers, it doesn't really matter too much. I would prefer the Seahawks to win that game, obviously, because we don't want to see the Packers win. But if we're just looking at seeding in general, I don't want to see the Rams in the playoffs. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that
yeah.
right now. So,
They're heating up.
um, yeah, they're
Mhm.
heating up, and they already beat us too. So, and it would be back in LA, and I'd have to go to that game, and I'd have to be a nervous wreck like I was last time. But um, that Seahawks Packers game, obviously a big game, and if the Seahawks win, that pretty much locks you in to the 5th seed or the 1 seed, maybe the 2 seed. Like it's 1, 2, or 5 at that point if the Packers lose. And then obviously you have the Eagles Pittsburgh game, which if we were to win out and the Eagles went out and we have the same record at the end of the year, the Vikings would hold that tiebreaker. So it doesn't necessarily matter too much in regard to the Vikings, but you obviously want to give yourself a little space. And I think the Eagles, they're showing some chinks in the armor right now, and it may be behind the scenes in the locker room
Yeah,
between A.J. Brown
yeah.
and Jalen Hurts. And
Mhm.
I think it's over a girl. So you know how those
Oh,
kind of, yeah, you
I
might
don't have
look
that
into it.
tea.
Yeah,
Let me
look
get that
into it 'cause
tea real quick.
it's
Okay.
getting spicy. It's getting spicy
Oh
over
my
there in
god.
Philadelphia.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but yeah, you have this week is going to tell you, all right, we really got a legit chance at the number 1 seed, especially if the Lions fall to the Bills. And there's a good chance that happens, but you got to take care of business against the Bears on Monday night. As we know, as Vikings fans, those Monday night Bears games, they're
Yeah.
always a pain in the ass. They're always low scoring, and it's just always just like, ugh, like really, why did they put this game on Monday night? So take care of business to the Bears. You know,
It's always a prime time, either Sunday night or Monday night every year. I will never understand because, as you said, it's very, very, very rarely a good game. It's never a good game. I don't get it.
yeah.
Um, so I
I'm
hope
always
it's
nervous going into Bears games. Always.
yes. Yes, I'm with you. I don't have the same amount of nerves as I normally do. I think I mean, riding off that performance on Sunday, it's hard to imagine that they're going to be a mess after that. I hope they just take care of business and not doesn't have to be as dominating of a performance as we just saw, but just don't leave
Yeah.
it in question. You got your warrior stuff going on. Like let's just let's just wrap it up and get out of there with a win. But yeah, I am happy that they play on Monday night only so we can watch all of these awesome games on Sunday. It is such a fluid situation with that NFC North playoff picture, and it's hard to even. I mean, of course, you want the number 1 seed if you can get it, but it seems like in years recent too, it's like getting that bye doesn't even necessarily mean it's a good thing. Especially our team, we've been so lucky not to be bit by the injury
Yeah.
bug to the level
Knock on
that
wood.
other teams have. Yeah. So, I mean, we were saying this at the game to Edmund. It was like we don't even talk about anymore losing Christian Darrisaw to the season for the season. We don't
Yeah.
even talk about it anymore because Cam came in and just done such a serviceable job. That's probably our biggest loss, and we don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah. More
So,
again, more credit to Kwesi for actually making that move. I mean, all
yeah,
his free agent signings or trades in the middle of the season, you can add that in there, have been amazing signings or amazing pickups. Like, I
yeah.
mean, you can't argue against it. But yeah, no, you got to be excited for this team. When's the last time we even had the 1 seed? Was it 98?
No, oh, they didn't get it in 2009, obviously. Well,
Didn't get it
yeah,
in
because they
'09.
yeah,
I
they
think
haven't
it's
had
been
a
since
home NFC
'98.
championship. You got to be right because they haven't had a home NFC championship.
Because when we got
In
blown out by the Giants, that was in New York in 2000, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
in New York. So yeah,
yeah, they always fuck
this
it
is our
up.
first opportunity at the 1 seed since 1998, and this team feels a lot like
Crazy.
1998 too. Let's not
It
forget
really does.
Randall Cunningham came in as a free agent, as a guy that the league looked up as, he's washed. He doesn't got it. Like he can't run anymore like he used to. Randall Cunningham's washed, and he came in and he had an absolute career year. They went 15-1, and we know
Mhm.
the rest of the story. We won't get into it, but this has a lot of similarities to the 1998 Vikings. I mean, let's go ahead. Let's go get this 1 seed. Let's try it again. Let's try it one more time. Like, let's
Yeah.
give it another try.
I agree. There are a lot of parallels. And before we move, I want to mention this on Monday for Monday night. I am not planning on going into the game. I got to save my money for those playoff tickets. Whether I got to go on the road to Tampa Bay or I don't really want
Ooh.
to go to Atlanta. It's not really somewhere I'm
So if
trying to
we
check
play in
off.
LA, are you coming to LA for the playoff game?
You know what? Fuck it. Why not?
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
come
Yeah.
through. I'm an
I'll do
hour
that.
away from the stadium.
So,
I'm an hour away from SoFi.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. We gotta have a little meetup. So I'm not gonna be spending any money going into the game. If somebody wants to bless me, I of course accept. But I am mentioning that because we are gonna have the TV set up at the tailgate. So if anyone wants to come down and just hang out in the heated tent and watch the game and hang out there, you're more than welcome to come. And yeah,
And
it
wear
should be it
white.
should be a good time. And wear white. Yep. And we'll still have our parking
Wear
lot victory party. We just, not going to go in. But okay, I forgot. Okay, so is there anyone? We can wrap this up now because we've been on this almost an hour. It's just flying by. Is there anyone in the NFC that scares you that you do not want this team to face?
Okay, so if you were to ask me that before this past week, and it wasn't even necessarily how we handled Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, um, then I would have told you a few teams. I would have told you Philly. I would have told you Detroit. Um, hell, even Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay still kind of scares me. We haven't beat Baker Mayfield. I've witnessed 2 Baker
Yeah,
Mayfield losses at home in person, and it's just like etched in my brain. Like, and they were 2
you were at
terrible
both of
losses.
those.
Ugh,
They were
oh, it was
both.
terrible.
They were
But
bad.
I
Yeah,
try to not remember the first one against Cleveland because we put up, I think,
yeah.
6 points that game. It was just disgusting.
So frustrating
Um,
that game.
so I don't want any parts of Baker. Tampa Bay right now, that might be my most like fearful team. And that's maybe the team we play in the first round of the playoffs too. So
Hmm.
I mean, I got to face my fears first week of wild card weekend. If need be, then let's do it. Let's hit it head on. But when it comes to the Eagles, I've never been a full believer in the Eagles. I started to the past few weeks, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The Eagles might be a problem now. Saquon is having an MVP type year. But then I started seeing the chinks in the armor with the locker room stuff. I think their coach is an
Hmm.
absolute idiot, Sirianni. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be the downfall of their team. If they lose a playoff game this year, if they get upset, it's going to be because of their coach. It's not going to be because of anybody else, in my opinion. And
Hmm.
then the Lions, obviously, they've been kind of blowing everybody out this year, but it's starting to get a little tight for them. And I think if you're
Hmm.
able to keep that game close, just like we did the first one, and we just came up short, one first down. If we got that one first down, game's over. We're sitting as the number 1 seed right now. We're 12-1, just like they are. And that's the difference between the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings and the notoriety that they're getting and the notoriety that the Vikings are getting right now. So we're that close to what people are considering as the Super Bowl favorite in the Lions. But they're banged
Yeah.
up right now. I think the Aiden Hutchinson injury is eventually going to kind of catch up with them. Yes, they got Zadarius Smith. Us Vikings fans know what Zadarius Smith is. He's going to look good for 5-6 games, but that back's going to start hurting. He's going to start slowing down. He's going to end up on the injury report. We know what it is. Love you, Zadarius. I met
Hmm.
you at the airport one
Yep.
time. Really cool dude, but you're the enemy now. So it's F you. Um, but I just think that the Lions have hit their peak and they're on the back end of it. Eagles, I
Uh-huh.
think, hit their peak. They're on the back end of it. I think the Vikings are just starting to get into their peak and they're hitting it at the exact right time going into the playoffs, especially after this Bears game. You got 3 playoff teams before you even get to the playoffs. You have Seahawks, Packers, Lions. So
Yep.
if you're
Yep.
talking about if you're tested going into the playoffs, we're going to be tested. So I would say Tampa Bay scares me, and you guys can laugh at me all you want, but they scare me. And then obviously Lions a little bit, not so much anymore. Eagles a little bit, not so much anymore. And then I have to throw the Rams in there too. I don't want to see
Yeah.
a hot Rams team in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. Too Evil, the tailgate is in the gold lot. If you need more information, you can look at my Twitter profile. I have a map on there with X's, a little treasure map, and more details. And I saw somebody
I
else.
got
Yeah,
two
for me,
evil.
yeah, Purple Diamond. If Cashman plays in the playoffs, I don't fear any team. I mean, hard to argue. You know, he's undefeated. He's undefeated. If he's in the
He's
game,
undefeated.
they're
Yeah.
10-0. So it's hard to argue with that. I feel like comparing to past seasons where they may be a wild card, I don't have one team that really stands out to me that I think, oh my God, absolutely don't want to run into them. Agree with you that Eagles and Detroit, I think, have already hit their peak. And I mean, it's going to catch up to Dan Campbell again, eventually making these risky decisions. I thought he might be a
Yeah.
little bit more cautious this year with, how it did him in the NFC Championship, but apparently not. I only reason Philadelphia scares me is because I don't want the Vikings to go to Philly at all. That's kind of a worst
I
case
can't take
scenario
another
for
Eagles
me.
playoff loss. I can't take another
No.
Eagles playoff loss. I just can't.
No, they never play there well, regardless. I'm sure the league will go ahead and flex that or put that one in prime time, I'm sure, so those idiot fans can be drinking for even more extended period of time. Our
Yeah.
poor fans probably aren't gonna go there because they were assaulted and, treated terribly in 2017. That's the one situation I just absolutely do not want, and it's not because I'm scared of them facing the roster of the
Yeah.
Eagles at all. But I would say I'm with you as far as the one I'd probably like to play the least is the Rams because they are super hot right now. They're heating up. They're hitting their stride. And though I mean I think the Vikings are as well. And those losses that they do have, against Lions, they were right there with them. The
Yeah.
Rams, it did look more sloppy. I maybe am
Mhm.
giving it too much credit to just coming back, having, the 4 game Thursday night, having to travel and all that before they really had seemed to, get to where they are now. And, maybe Sam Darnold could have had the comeback without the face mask. I don't know. But
Hey,
they
look,
didn't, they
we
were, yeah,
we do 98-yard drives really well over here in Minnesota, so you never know.
yeah. Yeah. So that's probably who I'd like for them to play the least. And I don't want them to go to Lambeau either, not because I fear
Mhm.
them, nowhere near the level of I don't want them to go to Philly, but just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't really feel like I'm so sick of that stupid narrative, historic Lambeau Field, blah, 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 blah. But
We won't
it,
play in Lambeau if we see the Packers in the playoffs, though. It'll be in Minnesota if we play the Packers, which I'm
oh,
cool with.
well, okay.
Bring it on.
All right. Well, I'll throw that fear out the window then. But
Yeah, toss that.
yeah.
We're not going back
Hey,
to Lambeau till next year.
well, thank God. But okay, well, SK, thank you so much for joining me. And I'm assuming are you predicting a win on Monday, even though they might
Yeah,
not
a
be pretty?
win a win is gonna be a close one. It'll be a close
Yeah.
one. Bears are always tough for us. I don't know why, but it's always just a mucky game with the Bears. So, Vikings win, but it's close.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how I felt like they handled Caleb much better than Kyler just a week later. And I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it had to do with being outside and the turf and stuff like that. But I hope that it's not another game like Kyler had, just running all over the place. But I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm feeling okay about it. I'm thinking maybe 10 points they'll win. I don't think it'll
I'll take
be
that.
like the other. I mean, they're breaking all the trends that we're
Yeah.
used to. So I'm thinking maybe they're
Well,
going to break this one too.
this will be the ultimate trend to break. If you go out there on Monday night against the Bears, which we know is always like a 12-9 game or something like that, and you go drop 30 and win by double digits, I'm all in. Let's get it. Skull to the
Yeah,
bull. Like that's
yeah.
where I'm
Oh,
at.
yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been super fun. I'll see you guys back on Thursday night. SK, tell people where to find you, where to follow you, and check out your content.
Absolutely. You can find me in 2 different locations. You can find me in a bunch of different locations, but obviously you can always hit that follow on X/Twitter, SK_NFL. And then also Purple and Skull Media. I haven't been too active on that page lately. I've been more focused on our Purple Parlor podcast that I have with Realistic Randy and Rap. You can find us on YouTube at Purple Parlor 1. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram, all over the place. So yeah, go ahead and hit that follow, hit that subscribe button. We're on Spotify as well. So if you don't got time to watch the videos, head over to Spotify and follow the Spotify as well. But we got a great podcast going, big things happening. We just got monetized. So, that's kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
a celebratory thing. So go over there,
Congrats.
get the super chats going on the next show, which will be next Tuesday. So yeah, go ahead and hit that
Oh, yeah.
subscribe button, Purple Parlor and Purple and Skull Media.
Awesome. And you guys like and subscribe to our page as well. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. We thank all of you guys for sticking through. We've had about like 85 people watching live at one point. So thank you. Thank you so much, SK. It's always great to talk to you and get your
Always.
insight. Yeah, see you guys Thursday night here on Vikings First and Skol. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and Skol production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and Skol!